As always, the global economy is high on the agenda. We're encouraged to see stronger economic prospects after years of disappointing global growth. There are still many downside risks, however, and countries that have the fiscal space need to continue with structural reforms. This is vital to accelerating the sustainable and inclusive economic growth needed to end extreme poverty by 2030. We're meeting at a time when we face several overlapping crises, both natural and man-made, all of which add urgency to our mission. You and your colleagues have been reporting on them every day: conflict, climate shocks, the worst refugee crisis since World War II, and famine in parts of East Africa and Yemen, which the UN has called the worst in 70 years. With famine in particular, the world was caught unprepared again. Too often, we forget about crises as soon as they abate, leading to a cycle of panic and neglect. We're already working with the affected countries and partners to respond to the famine, and we will use every tool we have, financial and advisory, to prevent famine in the future.
Kim will give brief opening remarks and we'll turn to your questions. Light housekeeping, if you can please silence your mobile.
In addition to fragility, accelerations in technology are changing the landscape. We estimate that 2/3 of all jobs that currently exist in developing countries will be wiped out by automation. At the same time, the internet, smartphones, and social media allow everyone to see exactly how everyone else lives, which is causing aspirations to rise all over the world. I see this everywhere I go. So in the midst of these crises and with rising aspirations, we must change the way we work in development finance. We have to find new and innovative ways to reach the poor and make the world more secure and stable, and to help the world grow.
From Egypt, I would like to ask in Arabic language.
You know, what we actually did the study. We looked at how satisfied people are and what is going to affect their overall level of satisfaction. And what we found is that access to the internet, on the one hand, increases their satisfaction in the short term, but it also raises very quickly the income to which they compare their own. So what you see is that as the internet, access to the internet expands, people's sense of what is possible goes up. And if you have rising aspirations and connect those with opportunity, you can get really great dynamism in a society. It's frankly what Korea experienced in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. But if those rising aspirations then meet frustration, we are very worried about more and more countries going down the path of fragility, conflict, violence, extremism, and of course eventually migration. Because the other thing that access to the internet does, it increases people's desire to migrate.